Hello, guys. In this video of AOC, Congresswoman from New York's House District, one of them. I think it's New York 14th. And we have Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's another House representative from the state of Georgia, North Georgia specifically. And both these candidates represent the fringes of both parties. Both are decently extreme policy-wise, but I think Marjorie Taylor Greene's just more extreme in terms of policies. She's a little bit more radical than AOC, just because she's a very controversial candidate. But still, I think she would win over most of these more safe red states, mainly because AOC is decently far left policy wise. So I think those states would really be out of reach for her. Unlike if someone ran, like, if the Democrats ran Biden in this scenario, Green would get crushed everywhere. And a lot of solid red states are going to likely, but since it's AOC, left-wing policies are more unpopular in these red states. Sort of like South Carolina and Alaska wouldn't be likely. But let's get into this prediction. So I'm going to start off with Colorado. I just think it'd be a safe blue state for AOC. Same with New Mexico as well. I just think Marjorie Taylor Greene could not make either of these two states competitive. I think they have a decent enough Democratic base that would just really be an anti-Green vote no matter what here. Virginia could see only AOC winning by like 9%. It would go down in percentage due to some moderate voters maybe just sitting out this election, not necessarily voting for Green. Let's head to Texas and Florida. Texas honestly would barely vote for Green over 5%. It would again start trending a tiny bit more Democratic because of how extreme and just extremely right-wing Marjorie Taylor Greene is and all the controversial stuff she has said. While Florida, I think it really does not like self-described Democratic socialists. It really hated Bernie Sanders in the primaries, so I just don't think AOC would be competitive in this state. The state of Ohio and Iowa, I still think would vote for Green by just over 10%, while Ohio stays a likely state. She only wins the state by about 6 or 7. Mainly because she is very right-wing, but then again, AOC is very left-wing, so I think putting it in a likely column is right where it stands. Let's finish off the two southern states here. North Carolina, I think Green wins by about 2%, even though I think this election would be very low turnout-wise. Even though she would be pretty unpopular with independent voters, I think they would narrowly back her because they really don't want someone very far left policy-wise in Washington, D.C. Georgia, Green only wins because it's her home state, but AOC would get decent margins out of Atlanta and its suburbs. However, I do think there would be decreased voter turnout and maybe some independents would just slightly vote towards Marjorie Taylor Greene, mainly because they really don't want someone with super left-wing policies. I mean, we saw in the primaries with Bernie Sanders, he didn't really do that well in Georgia in the first place. So I think Green would narrowly win Georgia against AOC. Let's head to New England. I think these would be likely blue states. I really don't think Green would do good at all in either of these two states. I could even see Maine second getting very, very competitive, but I still think Green would win here by about 2% because it is a very rural district. In Nebraska second, I still see it siding with AOC, just narrowly over Marjorie Taylor Greene because of how extreme she is. In the Rust Belt, I really don't think Green would win either. I think it would just revert back to 2020 margins. Even AOC would do better in Wisconsin even because Marjorie Taylor Greene has very right-wing policies on the economy while AOC has more left-wing policies on the economy. So I just think independents would probably side with the more sane candidate in AOC than Marjorie Taylor Greene because let's be honest here, I don't think Greene's fully there. So I really don't think Green would really have a chance in the Rust Belt against someone like AOC. She's just way too extreme policy-wise. Nevada and Arizona. Honestly, AOC really lucks out. In Nevada, I think a lot of Latino voters kind of preferred Bernie Sanders in the primary, so I think they would side with AOC. However, Arizona, this is where she lucks out. Marjorie Taylor Greene is just kind of a psycho, so I just don't think. I think Arizona moderates will have like a hard time really deciding who should win this state. But I think when push comes to shove, I would rather have someone like AOC than Marjorie Taylor Greene winning the state of Arizona. But I could see it being extremely low voter turnout, but I just think independent voters would side with AOC, mainly because of all the controversial things Marjorie Taylor Greene has said and how she's super linked up with Trump. I just can't see her beating AOC in the state of Arizona, even though she's a socialist. I still think AOC would beat Marjorie Taylor Greene here just because of her links towards Trump. It just really wouldn't be a good fit for her in the state. And plus, she's more right wing in policy than Trump is, so we've seen it before. Arizona really does not like super extreme Republicans, but they don't like super left wing people like AOC anyway. But I still think it would just be a narrow tilt in favor of AOC. So that's my election prediction. It was AOC versus Marjorie Taylor Greene. Fairly close election, but I still think AOC would have a decent advantage, especially in the Rust Belt states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Alright, let me know what you think of this video in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.